So I would say most of us saw this coming from miles away, and Phil Spencer, like just about a month or 1.5 ago, kind of even hinted at like price increases of certain parts of their products. But now Microsoft has officially confirmed that going into 2023, all their first-party games, the games that have been made specifically for Xbox Series X and S, will experience a price increase going up to $70. And now coming from that, obviously the blame game starts, and everyone is like, well, I still blame PlayStation for pushing the industry to $70. First-party Xbox games will be £70 from 2023. Thanks a lot, Sony. Thanks a lot. But obviously that doesn't make any sense, okay? Because it's not just Sony that increased their prices. If you go back and actually do the research, then you find out that in August 2020, Take-Two's NBA 21 became the first current game to be priced at $70. Other companies followed suit, including Activision, Sony, EA, and Square Enix, with Final Fantasy publisher even bringing the increased price point to some of its PC games. And that is actually an interesting point, because you start getting these posts on Reddit as well, where people are like, well, the Dead Space remake is $60 or 60 euros on PC, but $70 or 80 euros on PlayStation 5. This is so unfair. And it's like, no, it's actually always been like that. Games on console have always been slightly more expensive than on PC, and I think my theory is that on PC, these companies don't dare to increase the price that far because it will lead people to piracy, okay? People will just pirate their games, so they simply can't afford applying that price increase to PC as well. But beyond that, if you go back far enough in history, like this guy says, Alan Johnson on Twitter, then you will notice that a lot of games were actually priced at around $74.99, $89.99. I still remember video games in the 90s being extremely expensive, so we were kind of spoiled with that price tag of like $50 over all those years, having increased to 60 a few years ago and now going up to 70. Another important point to mention in that regard is that the effort and amount of work and labor that is required to make contemporary AAA games has just increased significantly in the past year. So you just need more people, more time, more working hours to get to the level of quality that people actually expect. And therefore, it is also just simply a calculation for companies like Sony and Microsoft, like how much work and how many hours do you put in versus how much do the games actually return. But I guess a question that we have to ask ourselves, especially when it comes to Microsoft bringing up their prices to $70, is like, for what games are they going to apply that price increase? Because as part of that console war flaming, you get tweets like this one, right, where it's like $70 versus $70. And obviously this is just kind of a dumb comparison, right? Because God of War is so different from Starfield. Starfield offers probably way more content, more replayability. It's an open world game versus not an open world game. So it's a really dumb comparison. But there is a fair comparison to be made about the first party games of both of those companies and to what extent the quality of the games actually justifies a price increase to $70. So for example, if you look at PlayStation, their first party games, Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, the Horizon Zero Dawn series, Ghost of Tsushima, these are like really beautiful cinematic games that to an extent feel like you're playing a high quality, super finished 10-hour or however long the game is cinema movie. So just from the feeling, it feels like an additional $10 price increase for those types of titles can be swallowed up by the audiences. But now let's move over to Xbox and look what they have to offer, okay? So obviously Starfield, okay, that is a big AAA game. It's highly anticipated, so I would say they definitely get away with a $70 price point on that game on consoles. Forza Motorsport, sure, a lot of people love that franchise, so I guess you kind of still get away with it there as well. But then we're moving into Redfall, we're moving into Fable, Halo, Flight Simulator, maybe Gears 5 kind of also still sits on that brink, and then it's already thinning out. You have like Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition, and I'm just giving like the big, highly anticipated first-party titles that Microsoft currently has to offer. And looking at those titles, especially when comparing them directly to the titles that are just listed on PlayStation, it just feels like there is an undeniable quality gap there. And again, it's not that black and white, right? Because certain games are open world and they offer higher replayability, like I said. But I think Microsoft has to be a bit careful there, okay? They can't just come out and say, Fable, $70, Halo Infinite is now Flight Simulator, everything is now $70. I think that will lead to them literally shooting their own foot, because it will scare gamers away. And people will be like, nah, look, I've looked at the trailer for the game. It's a good game, and it might be a $40, $50 game, but it's not a $70 game. And I think that little price increase, like those $20 difference, actually makes a huge difference in the consumer's head. But then it has to be mentioned that Microsoft also has Game Pass, okay? And this very much feels like a marketing campaign for Game Pass, because obviously games like Starfield and most of their first-party games come to Game Pass on day one. So with that price increase, Game Pass just got way more attractive if it stays at the same price point, which I'm not sure about, okay? If you read Twitter and you read like speculation from people at IGN and so on, a lot of people speculate that there will be a significant price increase for Game Pass going into 2023, with people speculating that it might go as high as $25 a month for a family pass type of deal. So it's a thin line for Microsoft to walk here, right? Of course, players will be more tempted now with that price increase to consider subscribing to Game Pass, but if that price increases too much as well, there is literally the risk that they will alienate a huge part of their player base and push even more people over to PC. Beyond that, there's also still the point to mention that you don't own your games on Game Pass, so Starfield might be coming to Game Pass at first, and you might be able to complete the game. But if you want to replay Starfield, I don't know, 3 years later, and it's not on Game Pass anymore for whatever reason, well, then you're going to have to buy it. And now you're spending another lump of money just to play a game that you feel like you already owned a few years ago. So that's another aspect that needs to be put into consideration. But beyond all that, the easiest way out, in my opinion, and that's kind of what I'm following with these types of deals, is just don't buy games on day one, okay? Don't be fooled by the hype train. Don't be the guy who's like, oh, just Starfield. I mean, I get it. If you're super excited about a specific game, sure, get it on day one, play it. But don't be like with every game that comes out, it's like, oh, I gotta get it on day one, and then you complain that games are $70. That just feels dumb. Okay, so don't fall for that trap. At this point, we get great deals on Xbox. We get great deals on PlayStation if you just wait the additional 2, 3, 4 months. But obviously with that announcement, the console war on Twitter is in full force, okay? And people are throwing rocks at each other, saying, well, your games are not worth $70. Well, no, your games are not worth it. So it's fun to watch, okay? But guys, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Are you willing and able to pay $70 for new AAA games coming out in 2023? Are you on PlayStation? Are you on Xbox? Leave all that down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, we have set up a Discord server for the community of this channel, so if you want to discuss this amongst many other topics, follow the link to our Discord server down in the description. There's great people there. We're discussing politics, we're discussing games, anything you want. You can vent about your problems. It's a great place to meet people. I'm hanging out there as well, and I would love to meet you personally and see a little bit more who the people are who are actually watching and enjoying my videos. So again, follow the Discord link down in the description. Don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you not have yet done that. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. I'm out. Bye.